Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another tropical forecast here on Tropical Storm Isaias. It has now avoided a Florida landfall, surprisingly, as now slowed down, and the Gulf Stream is really getting a really strengthening and a lot of food, if you call that, a lot of energy, a lot of food. It has now avoided Florida and is now heading now for the Carolinas coast. We have major updates on Isaias, and it could possibly re-strengthen to a CAT1. It is very favorable for this as it's now slowed down. It is now the Gulf Stream all the way to North Carolina, or the Carolinas in general. It has avoided a huge land area, so now it has extremely favorable waters for the next 36 hours. Convection is really got its act together, and Recon has found quite the interesting numbers here as well. So really monitoring this could possibly become a Category 1 again, and really watching out the coast all the way from Georgia to North Carolina for some really extreme storm surge here. We're going to check out the cone, the timing, who can get the worst impacts, storm surge, the amount of flooding, where this could really make a direct landfall, who's impacted, and also the tropical storm watches, warnings, and hurricane watches that are in effect for the East Coast. Without further ado, let's get in this video. Here's now a look at the National Hurricane Center. Here we got tropical storm Isaias. It was actually at 65 miles an hour earlier this afternoon, but now it's back at 70. So it is definitely starting to strengthen here, and you're gonna definitely see on the convection here on simulated IR in the next slide how organized this storm is and how it's got its act together. So there it is. It's actually avoiding Florida. The only thing that's really affecting Florida is kind of the outer bands and probably the tip of the eye wall. That's really it. But there we go, 994 millibars and 70 miles an hour. So I think this could definitely be 75 miles an hour easily by the next update. We'll see. I'm not saying that's going to be 100%. I'm just saying it's really likely for that to happen. It is now moving northwest at 9 miles an hour. So it's now gone to a northwest turn and now heading possibly straight for the Carolinas. South Carolina and North Carolina, you guys are definitely at a big threat. But if this storm really strengthened a lot, Georgia, you guys are going to be in a huge threat. And also northern Florida, you guys are going to be a really big threat. We do have hurricane watches though for the Carolinas, as the storm is expected to possibly maybe become a hurricane. National Hurricane Center didn't show it, and neither do intensity guidances. But definitely, I'm going to tell you, but the next updates models will definitely show this possibly going back to Cat 1. And I think the National Hurricane Center will show it in the next update, possibly becoming a Category 1, at least right before a landfall there. Here is simulated IR. Look at the storm. You are telling me look how organized. It has definitely redeemed itself. This storm looks extremely organized. Look at that. This thing has perfect amounts of convection. It's got center rotation. It's got looks like it almost has like a perfect eye wall at that moment. So here's the center. Basically, it's right here. There's the center. It is very well defined. So really monitoring it extremely closely. As convection is really extremely blowing up right now. So monitoring that extremely closely. There it is. That very well-defined storm. The center is right there. We have a ton of convection right now. If you looked at it earlier this afternoon, it looked way worse compared to what this is now. You have the banding right here. There's the banding. This thing is very organized, and there's that low pressure right there, that tropical low. And look at that convection. It's right at the center. So this thing looks extremely organized. This convection is basically apt to just mental. This is mental. Let's check out true color though, so you can see how very well defined this convection is. This one has extremely well defined banding. Let's actually, before it gets to night here, look at that banding. It looks very well defined. There it is. Look at all that convection that's centered part of the storm right here. There it is, and then possibly expected to possibly go to the Carolinas there. Either South Carolina or North Carolina landfall there. But we're going to be seeing storm surge for Savannah, storm surge for Jacksonville, all the way up to portions of the Outer Banks. So we're really going to be seeing some extreme impacts there. Look at that banding though. This banding is extremely well organized and well defined. And then there we got the low pressure. This looks fairly organized. It's definitely redeemed itself. And there it is. Look at that convection blowing up right before the kind of gets towards night. That convection blows up right at the center, and then just look at that convection. It's extremely well defined, that convection, that center convection, and that's what you really need to worry about when it possibly really strengthens. But look at that convection, it's just blowing up. That is absolutely just blowing up on this convection. There you got the banding. There's the banding right there. And then there's that low pressure. This system is extremely organized, really. So I'm predicting 75 miles an hour by the next update on the National Hurricane Center. Very well, that is a possibility. Check out another radar here as well. There it is. Look how very well this defined this kind of banding is. There you kind of see it's kind of trying to wrap around at that point. So that's kind of what we're really kind of looking at. As you see there, we kind of see that really heavy rain starting to really wrap around. So that's kind of a big concern if it does fully wrap around, or it's kind of rain wrapped at that point. Kind of really wraps around at that point. That's where we can maybe see a defined eye at that point. If it does wrap around, that's kind of the threat where we come to the threat of an eye. That's kind of when that happens. Here's the National Hurricane Center, though. As you see, there it is, avoiding Florida, right? If I can zoom in, there it is, avoiding Florida. So Florida, you guys won't get a direct landfall from this. So look at it did change. But there we go, tropical storm warnings from areas all the way near Titusville, all the way up into the Outer Banks. But look at this. We have areas as far as almost, is that Rhode Island? Yeah. We have tropical storm watches as far as western Rhode Island. That is mental. We have alert from Florida to Rhode Island. That is basically almost all of the East Coast, basically. That is mental. That's over 40 plus million people under some type of an advisory. And these advisories go more, some type of alert. And those alerts go further inland as well. So really extreme threats as far as the Connecticut area, because this could be a tropical storm. This could become a tropical storm as far as Maine. We can be seeing this. We can see tropical storm Isaias affecting Maine. That's the big threat, and this could very well possibly go right over New York City in the tri-state area. You guys got Faye, and now we have this. This may or may not be stronger than Faye, especially if it's because of Category 1. This could become a bigger threat for for all of the East Coast. If whatever happened in the storm affects basically almost all the East Coast there. But we got tropical storm watches for all the Georgia coast, all of South Carolina, much of North Carolina up to the Outer Banks near Cape Hatteras, and also much of north central Florida coast. We also have hurricane watches as well for areas including Myrtle Beach. We also have areas like Wilmington. You guys are under hurricane watches. We have hurricane watches for North Carolina and South Carolina. So we really got to monitor that very closely, because the National Hurricane Center has the confidence to put the National Weather Service has confidence to put hurricane watches for those areas. So maybe this could become possibly maybe a Category 1 before landfall. This thing does not make landfall to as early as 2 a.m. as early as 2 a.m. Tuesday. Who knows if this slows down a little bit more, and that can delay, which means it's going to be in the Gulf Stream, which is extremely favorable waters, very warm, very moist. Very little wind shear. That's a very extremely big threat there, and possibly can go over areas like Virginia at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and then by 2 a.m. Wednesday could be going as far as areas of the New England area, and then could be at 2 p.m. Wednesday up to the areas of Maine. Here's now the tropical storm Isaias alerts here. As you see, look at that. Tropical storm warnings of areas in the Florida coast, all the way up, affecting all of Georgia, including Savannah, including Charleston. Look at how far inland these tropical storm watches are. It's so far inland. Raleigh is under a tropical storm watch. Washington D.C. is under a tropical storm watch. New York City is under a tropical storm watch. These go pretty far inland. Look at Raleigh under tropical storm watch. That is really far inland. That is crazy to see, though. There we go. Tropical storm warnings all the way from Florida to Georgia, South Carolina, up to the Outer Banks. That's a really big area under tropical storm watches alone. But look at this. All the way from Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, all the way up to possibly the western Rhode Island area. That is over 1,500 miles of pure alert. So Isaias is going to be really a big, long affecting storm there. Charleston under tropical storm warning. Savannah, Jacksonville, you guys, I believe, under tropical storm warning. Areas near Myrtle Beach are under hurricane watches. Wilmington under hurricane watches. So really watching that area. Wilmington's under a tropical storm warning, but the coast of North Carolina and the coast of South Carolina are under hurricane watches. And then from Cape, we have tropical storm watches for Cape Hatteras, Raleigh, Washington D.C., Virginia Beach, areas near the Mid-Atlantic, really all of Delaware, most of Maryland, including Baltimore. We have Dover as well in Delaware. We have almost all of New Jersey under a tropical storm watch, including New York City, all of Long Island, up to the Connecticut and New York coast, really having a big threat. Storm surge Really big threat. Look, we have 1 to 3 foot storm surge all the way from the Sebastian Inlet all the way up into the what is that? Edisto Beach. So the Savannah port is gonna get really hit unexpectedly. I bet you people in Florida, I bet you people in Savannah aren't really prepared for this storm at all. But we're gonna be seeing possibly 1 to 3 for storm surge for the barrier islands of Georgia. That's gonna do a lot of damage for those areas, especially with all the rain we've had lately. There, 1 to 3 for storm surge that will devastate the outer barrier islands of Florida. The Jacksonville area, you guys are in a big threat with the 1 to 3 foot storm surge. The thing is, it's only 1 to 3 for a storm surge. They're like, oh, only 3 feet. That's really basically right enough to pick up a car. If it's 3 feet, that can't possibly be dangerous. The thing is, if it does strengthen, the storm surge will increase maybe to 2 to 4 feet here, and maybe really watching out for maybe 4 to 6 feet here. Because if it does strengthen to a Category 1, if it is a Category 1 right now, which I think could be a Category 1 by the end of tonight, that will be a big threat. Because if it's a Category 1 right here, and it's going to possibly all the way right here, will it have time to strengthen a lot more? That's the thing. If this is a Category 1 by the end of today, which is very likely, that's going to bring in big concerns for the Carolinas for a direct landfall. That's going to bring in big concerns as far as Maine. This storm is going to affect millions of people. Whatever happens, it won't just affect the Carolinas. It's going to affect all the way up to Maine, all the way up to Nova Scotia. So really, this is the big threat. Really, I know it's only it's not going to be a Category 4, it probably won't be a Category 3. Most likely won't be a Category 3 whatsoever. But this is, I think, people are really underestimating the storm now because, it became a tropical storm. It's going to weaken. It's not going to become anything whatsoever. I'm done tracking this. I'm done. I'm not going to prepare anymore. No, don't do that because, models haven't been the best, and intensity guidance hasn't been the best. I know most of them show tropical storms, but a lot more are starting to show CAT1. A lot more as the updates went on, a lot more did show Category 1 force winds. So that's a big threat. That's a really big threat. But we also have 2 to 4 foot storm surge for areas near Cape. That is Cape Fear, Edisto Beach, Myrtle Beach, areas near just off the coast of Wilmington. You guys have 2 to 4 foot storm surge. So that's a bit bigger. That's a very big threat. 4 feet could easily pick up a car. And then 1 to 3 foot storm surge as far as Delaware for areas of the Maryland Bay, the District of Columbia right there. We're going to be seeing some really big threats there. All the way up to Kiptopeki. Honestly, I don't even know if I pronounced that right, guys. But all the way up to those areas, we're going to be seeing extreme storm surge. I know 1 to 3 foot storm surge doesn't seem too bad, but it's decent. It's pretty a lot amount of water for inland areas. If that's kind of the only way to explain it. It only may be less than 3 feet. Maybe you're taller than 3 feet, but really, it's still a big threat no matter what. You don't want over a foot of water no matter what. Tracks, as you see, all of them should avoiding Florida. The next 24 hours is right here, and it can make landfall in the next 36 hours. Here it is the next 48 hours, though. But the next 36 hours right here could possibly make a landfall between South Carolina, between North Carolina. It's kind of right on the border. It's kind of making landfall either near Myrtle Beach or making landfall basically for North Carolina near the Wilmington area. So basically, I'll just say if you're in northern South Carolina or southern North Carolina coast, you definitely want to be on the lookout for a direct landfall. And it's expected to go right over Raleigh. So Raleigh, you're going to be seeing some big impacts. And then it comes back out to sea a little bit between Virginia and Maryland. And then it goes back out and then goes back inland and affects the northeast. So it's expected to kind of do like a little cone like this, basically. That's kind of the cone. This is basically it. So if you're inside this cone, then you definitely want to be on the lookout. That's basically the only way I can say that. Let's check out some other tracks here. As you see, also this shows possibly all these show avoiding Florida. I don't even know what the TCLP has been showing whatsoever. It's showing going right over Savannah, Georgia, which is not good. But I know that's not gonna happen. They showed hitting Alabama yesterday. As you see, more of these models are now showing North Carolina. So a lot of these models are showing making landfall in the next 48 hours, which is a huge amount of time to become a Category 1 again. but it's most likely going to make landfall in the next 36 hours. As you see, some of these models show 48 hours all the way up here, so these just models are really kind of just lagging, I guess you could say that. But it's supposed to make landfall in the next 36 hours there. A lot of these models, these tracks do show more of Wilmington as a threat, more of a North Carolina direct landfall. So it's between South Carolina or North Carolina. Let's check out these tracks. These tracks, on the other hand, show more of a South Carolina landfall. As you see, kind of go right over North Myrtle Beach right there, and then right on the border, right on the state line, basically. As you see, gonna kind of go right here, and then boom, possibly right on the border, if not more, into South Carolina, just by a couple of miles there. Let's check out now. Oh my God, I forgot to pull out this website here. Let me see if there's actually anything interesting to really look at. But let's see. As you see, the National Hurricane Center should only be 70 miles an hour the whole way. There's no way. You're telling me this storm cannot possibly stay 70 miles an hour for 36 hours. There's no way. Look at this storm. Look how much it's organized. Look at all that convection. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Just look at how good that storm looks. But, that's the National Hurricane Center. But look at that, 45 miles an hour as far as Maine. It's barely going to weaken. So I think this becomes, let's say, I'm not saying this is going to happen. Let's say it makes landfall at 90 miles an hour. Let's say it makes landfall here at 70 miles an hour and only weakens 40 up to 45. So that can bring in maybe 60 miles an hour for Maine, which is absolutely mental. I'm not saying it's going to make landfall at 90 miles an hour. I'm just saying I can't rule out the possibility. So here's the track then. So you guys, I was talking about how more of them are showing getting back to CAT1. Look at this. They were all showing going back to tropicals from all those models. But now a lot more, slowly but surely, are showing getting back to Category 1. This is supposed to make landfall in 36 hours. So I see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 models showing back to Category 1 force winds before that 36-hour mark. And just a couple hours ago, 0, if not 1, only showed that. But a lot more models are getting back to the Cat 1 force winds. Just give it time. I think this is already a cat. I'm telling you, I think this is already a Category 1. I don't know why it has such a hard time to try to say that, but this is definitely a big threat. Obviously, it's not gonna be a Category 3 or 4 or anything that big threat wise, but I think it's a really big threat. Not only is it affecting 40 plus million people, but whatever happens here is going to impact those 40 plus million people. And not only that, as well as people are probably underestimating and calling this a bust because it become a tropical storm. But this thing's in the Gulf Stream. It will be in the Gulf Stream for 36 hours. The Gulf Stream is really well known for bringing some really big RIs. It's got very warm waters. It's got almost 31 degrees Celsius just off the coast of South Carolina, and it's got very moist atmosphere, extremely moist. So if this thing has a moisture bubble, don't even dryer won't even be a big threat. But let's go and check out what models say. Here's what the new 18Z on GFS says. As you see, there it is, possibly getting a 998 millibars, and then it says making landfall at 995. So that's kind of, 996, 995. So GFS is showing it on the right track, like right track-wise. It does show it making landfall possibly over Myrtle Beach, or if not on the Carolina borders. But I think GFS is definitely underestimating this on strength-wise. Let's check out European, what they show direction-wise. Actually, let's check out what the CMC has to say. Have not checked out the CMC, the last 18. I have not checked out the 12Z for CMC yet. They show it possibly. Making landfall at 1,000 millibars. So CMC is showing the right track, making landfall in South Carolina. But their models are really underestimating the strength of the storm. Let's check out the NavGen. Yeah, NavGen. Honestly, for the NavGen, shows 1,007 millibars right now. NavGen's definitely wrong on this. Let's see what Icon says. Ooh, Icon says it's possibly going to 991 millibars, and then making landfall at 986. That's reasonable. That is extremely reasonable. I think Icon's definitely I think it makes landfall. I think it's at 986, and then it's over land. It's 989, so it probably makes landfall between 986 or 989 millibars. That's definitely way better than all the models. So I think this thing is definitely going to strengthen, without a doubt. I think this can make landfall at 986, but something actually very interesting. Check out aircraft on Recon here on the way. So as you see, Recon. Let me show you guys what they found here. They found. Let me get on here. Let me move my screen. So this is This is showing you the central pressure, and this is showing you winds. they found on 10 meters, which is what we use, MLSP on the red. You want whatever we see on the red, the lowest is what we use on recon. You don't use the blue because blue's flight level, so it's a lot stronger. It's a lot higher. It's a lot lower pressure, and it's also a lot stronger winds because it's flight level higher in the atmosphere, the troposphere. As you see right there in the red, they found just over 980 millibars, which is extreme improvement. This thing's at 994 millibars right now. That will be a 13 millibar drop, which means this could very well be a Category 1 right now. They haven't found CAT1 force winds yet, but it is getting there. As you see, it's definitely increasing as they get closer into the storm or more into the storm, but they did find well below 994 millibars. See, they found it right there. They're still finding around 60 knots, so still 70 miles an hour. But we'll definitely see what recon shows here in the next update. So guys, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and I'll do another lot more updates possibly tomorrow.